Hello everybody, here we are today talking about the news that the Edmonton Elks have fired Chris Jones as their head coach this week and getting into that a bit. But before we start, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or the CFL, whatever the case may be. That being said, let's get on into it. So I don't exactly know how long this video is going to be, but it is something that I do feel like is worth talking about. And Chris Jones, of course, has been there before with Edmonton previously and even won a Grey Cup with them, but this stint with the team did not go well as he got fired in his third season and ended up going 8-33 in that time. There was a lot of losing. Looking at this team, every single year he was a head coach, they ended up starting the year at least 0-3, and over the past 2 years, of course in 2023 being an abysmal year for this team, they kicked off with a franchise worst start to the year, 0-9, and right now they're 0-5. Now he can't be attributed to any more of those losses, but they could go out there and again slide to something like 0-6, 0-7, 0-8, maybe even 0-9 for a second straight year, as they can't really find their footing, and Jones was in charge of them for a while. And there were some things that weren't exactly all his fault before, because again, 2019 they had a losing record, they were 8-10. 2021 they went 3-11, and they bring him in. And some of these things like the home losing streak, while he was part of that, where they ended up setting the record for most or longest professional home losing streak in football history, wasn't all attributed just to him, and I get that. But we are looking at a team that was able to at times look competitive, and this year especially they look pretty competitive, but also just find ways to lose and do it over and over and over again. And I think this year kind of highlights it, as they are 0-5, but they shouldn't be. They should probably have, maybe 2-3 wins if things went their way, and some decisions that Jones has made, of course, before has been called into question. And I think a big part of that is the Trey Ford talk. I'm not necessarily saying that this year especially you can put all the blame on McLeod, Bethel, and Thompson, but I was listening to the 3 Down podcast the other day, and they brought up a good fact, and that's that with Edmonton's 8 wins over the past 2 years, of course they don't have one this year, Trey Ford was starting for 5 of those. And I guess I just don't get the mindset of a guy that already left the CFL, that is relatively old, giving him all this money in favor of a young Canadian quarterback that has been your best quarterback since you've been there. I don't know. People will say, oh, you're biased because he's a Canadian quarterback. Yes, and I don't care. I really don't care. I want to see a Canadian quarterback start, especially if I feel like he deserves it. And with Jones being there, I just never think that was going to be the case, and I just don't understand some of the logic with his decisions. Mind you, I'm not a head coach, and I'm sure that if I was in charge of this team, they'd be in worse shape with me than they would be with Chris Jones. But I do know this team has finished dead last in the West every single season he's been the head coach. 2022, 4-14. 2023, 4-14. This year, of course, he's not going to be attributed with this, probably, even though he'll be a factor in it. But I don't think this team is going to be climbing out of that bottom spot, which is tough too, because their losses haven't been bad. But it is what it is. And I think at this point it's weird, considering the fact that he had a winning record before he took over this job again and was seen as a good hire at the time, won a Grey Cup with the team previously, was able to have success in Saskatchewan, and was trying to get this team right on the back track. And I know that people will say, well, we've been bad for a long time and all these things, but they've had bad seasons before. 2013 they went 4-14. And they were able to win the Grey Cup within 2 years. And it's just tough seeing what this team has become. And it certainly is not all on Jones, but he just had to go. And I feel like that after last season, I was kind of thinking maybe that'd be the case. But him being the GM and him being the coach, saving money, the fact that they won 4 in a row, kind of towards the middle point of last season, probably saved them a bit. And knowing that they're going to try to be competitive and bring in more players. But like we saw with Ottawa for a long time, they were a team that would bring in players and not see results, whereas this year they kind of are. What are they now? 3-1, 3-2? And when Ottawa starts to win and you don't, you can see where some of the pressure lies, as you're one of the only 2 teams that are winless in the league, being paired with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. But I can tell you this, since 2022, I don't even need to look. I can just say this as a fact. Edmonton has to be the worst team in the league, thanks in part to Ottawa being able to get multiple wins this year. And I know people say, well, yeah, that kind of seems logical, but the best season that Jones produced in his 2.5 years with the team is 4-14. Would he have even got this year? Maybe, because again, I do think this team will be able to figure it out at some point. But I'm just saying, it's time. It's over. Maybe he'll get another opportunity in the future. Who knows? Maybe he'll see this clip and then, in his accent, say Bush League broadcast knows nothing about football. You're right, but that's irrelevant to the point. I am passionate about the league, and I want every franchise and their fans to feel like they have a chance. And with Jones at the helm right now, I can't really say that's the case. Should they have waited until the end of the year? Maybe, but either way, I'd imagine they probably should have let him go, especially in my eyes. It is what it is, though. What are your thoughts on Chris Jones as he ends up going 8-33 in 2.5 years and all that stuff? Let me know that stuff down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you found it informational, and I won't say enjoyable because somebody did get fired, but you know he's going to be able to get a job somewhere else. Anyway, everybody, please make sure to subscribe if you're new. Stay safe and have a great night.